coming from a place like India, we do go into mediocrity very easily. We started a couple of more businesses just to keep the lights on. Did not work. Then we moved to Canada. One thing was sure, that I may not be successful in my businesses, but that doesn't mean I cannot be successful in a business.
Yep.
I had that not enough feeling. And I was like, why is this not enough? And it was a lot of money, right? Like I could not spend that.
If you would have to start today,
A lot of people are living below their potential. The biggest regret that he has in life is he did not start something of his own.
you're doing a lot of things.
But I forgot. I forgot to tell the most important person, the most important thing that I valued. My why is very clear right now, that I really want to be that person who gets some people out of mediocrity.
What would you do to build a similar kind of business?
I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let me just get into a business that's tested.
Pick one.
This was something that actually came up in one of my startup bootcamp. Probability of success is higher because you're targeting people who are, I'll do the same in Mississauga, then in Kitchener, and then outside Google office, and then corporate, and that's how I just expand that.
What plan would you give him?
In the first 90 days, what I'll do is I'll create an offer first. I need to understand the niche, and you can do it in one day.
How much role does your social media plays in building that authority?
Everything. It's much more difficult to build. I'm not saying it's easy. It's way harder, way 30x harder to build something on YouTube. But once you get that,
I'm going to retire 1 million people with 5 million assets. That's a big statement. And this man is actually working towards it very tirelessly. I can see all the work that he's putting in. But it's not about, what I'm seeing and what you're seeing. If you're someone looking to retire, if you're someone looking to have that 5 million asset, this podcast, don't miss out anything. Pull your pen and paper and, let's welcome our special guest today. Navjot bhai, thank you so much for, coming all the way from GTA here.
thank you so much for having me, and amazing intro.
Truly, no one ever, I heard, like on internet, especially in our immigrant, the one who came as immigrants to this country, saying that word. Where does that come from? Let's start there.
I think it's just, if I look at my retirement, 5 million would give me that safety. Whether it gives me at 50, 55, 40, that age number can be different. But if I have to retire securely, let's say 20, 25 years from now, I would need that number adjusted to inflation. So the 5 million came from my personal, when I did my FIRE calculation that, people keep talking about, right? So when I did my FIRE calculation, I was like, okay, I need $5 million, not in cash, but I need it in assets that can generate at least 4%. Every year, which is $200,000, which is what I need before tax to live a decent life. I'm not saying luxury life, to live a life where I'll be happy. I'll make a couple of trips with my family. I can, I'll have a paid off house. So that's part of that, equation. But that's where the 5 million came from. That was my personal 1%, not 1 million, right? And then I was like, and I always feel, and it comes from, I come from a very, mediocre background. I'm not saying middle class background, I'm saying mediocre background. What I mean by that is I've lived a life of mediocrity. And I always, I have told this story a couple of times, maybe not on a podcast, but I grew up in a school where my mom was a teacher in that school. So I think you've heard this story, right? So, and what happened was that, if I did very good on my scores, students used to bully me, saying that, oh, your mom is a teacher, and that's why you know the paper, the exam, the questions, right? So I started doing poorly on my exams. I was like, no, I don't want to be bullied. Why come in the limelight? So I started doing poorly in my exams, and then my teachers started to complain my mom. And that's why I was like, okay, you know what? I can't be the best. I can't be the worst. I have to be in the middle. So I became the 75, 80% guy coming 8th or 10th in class, right? And that became a way of life for me because I'd done it for 14 years, like from, first, second, third standard, all the way to, 10th, 12th. It just became a way of life for me. Even in my 10th and 12th, when my mom had nothing to do with it was a board exam, right? So even then I did not score well, and I only did well in maths and science, which because I liked those subjects, and I did like average in everything else, and I scored 82%. So I was being mediocre. Then I went to college and I stayed mediocre because that was a way of life for me. So I did my like engineering, and for 3-4 years I was mediocre, and then I went to MBA, and I was like, why I'm good. Like people now recognize that when I put my mind to it, I'm actually like good at it, certain things. Then I realized that it had become a way of life for me, mediocrity. And the reason why I now want a million people, and whether I'm able to achieve it doesn't matter, right? It's a process of getting there. Is that I think coming from a place like India, I think we do go into mediocrity very easily because there are a lot of things, including financial, including family, including like some stereotypes. There's a lot that's pulling us back at every step. As simple as if there's like there's so many floods, there's a lot of rain, and then it's pulling us back from going to our work, right? Like there's so many things that get like we get pulled into doing just enough, that I feel that like a lot of people are living below their potential. So the 1 million like 1 million immigrant number came from there because I feel that there are people like me, and I am not special. Like I don't consider myself special, right? I might be good at some things, but so are people who are in cybersecurity. So are people who are in sales. Whatever they are doing in their life, they are good at something. It's just about unearthing that potential, and just making them believe that there is a true purpose and you can actually achieve whatever I or you or whoever is doing well as an immigrant or in general. If they are able to do it, you are able to do it too, and that's where the 1 million number comes from, right? So 5 million was a personal number for me, like in terms of dollars, and I was like, okay, like that should not just be me. Why not like try to enable other people to it?
I can relate to so many things on that. Like, being in school, without knowingly, we get used to, okay, this is it. Like you cannot do more than this.
Yeah.
But you setting that goal up, like one, does it fire you up? Like now you have a lot of fire under your butt.
Yeah.
To go do, do that content or do educate your circle, whatever. But it's crazy how you're tricking your brain.
And it's important because I think being in business, and I have been in business for a long time, like successfully or like I have had failures and successes. Like most people know me in business for the last 4 years, including you. But I've been in business since 2017. I've just had a lot of failures in the beginning, and being part of those failures or learnings that you have that helped me grow my business. One thing I realized, and I talk to a lot of people, I'm pretty sure you also talk to a lot of people who have a lot of money or who come from a lot of money, and for them the value of money is not enough. Like they always feel that it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough. And I when I made my first like good money in the first year of doing business in Canada, I felt that not enough. Like I had that not enough feeling, and I was like, why is this not enough? And it was a lot of money, right? Like I could not spend that, and I was like, why is it not enough? And then I felt that you have to, like you said, trick your brain into making yourself part of something much bigger, and it almost feels like impossible. Like like how can I, like if someone doesn't want to retire with 5 million, I can't make him.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously whoever is watching me, maybe 5% of 10% of people make it, and maybe the number is 1,000 at the end of my life, or 2,000 or 10,000 or whatever that number is. I change that person's life, and not just that person's life. It's not just about that one person, their kids, their family. Like if someone gets motivated today, for instance, like in my business, I know that we power at least 10 to 15 people around us. With the leads that we get, like a lot of people get a lot of leads and they build a lot of business and their families do very well. And that, if I can get one person out of that 1 million to do that, that is 15 to 20 lives changed.
Yeah.
And then their kids' life changed, and then like it just branches out. So it's very powerful, when you think like that. And 1 million is just, I think, a number that I wanted. It had to be big enough.
It's like the sky.
Yeah.
It's the star.
Yeah. It should not be like I say 1,000.
Yeah.
And then I achieve 1,000 in 5 years, and I'm like, oh, what next?
The fire is already
It
gone.
has to be so big that even if I am 80, I'm 90, I still feel I've not done.
Yeah.
I've not achieved it. So it has to be big enough. And if I reach 500, and if those 500 people are in one room and say that you changed my life, I'm happy. Like I won't be sad if I don't achieve the 1 million.
It's crazy to hear that. But for those who don't know you, who are you? Tell us a little bit.
So I lived. I was born and brought up in Delhi. So I look like a Punjabi, but I'm not. So I can't speak Punjabi. Like a lot of people. I'm a mortgage agent, right? So a lot of people call me, and they are from Punjab, and they start talking to me in Punjabi, and then I have a guy in my team who is not. He is from Punjab, but he's not. Like a Sikh, and he speaks better Punjabi than me, and he laughs at me when I speak in Punjabi. Anyways, right? So, like, I'm from Delhi, and I was born and brought up there. I come from a middle class, not a lower middle class, I would say. I come from a middle class background. I don't come from a business family. I think that's something that I have always missed, in the sense that I come from a family which has always been safe. Again, like how that's where the middle class comes from, right? They are salaried, they don't take a lot of risks. And my dad was in insurance, my mom was a teacher in my school. So like that's the middle class that I'm talking about. And I never had in fact, so much so that I never knew how business is run, in the sense that, let's say there's a shop, and I could not imagine how a grocery shop can make money selling a 10 rupee rice. And how many people would they sell it to? But I could not even understand for the longest time. For 25 years of my life, I could not understand that it's a game of inventory. And then you sell that inventory, and the money is being rotated. That rotation concept in business, I did not know.
Because you are not grew up in that.
Exactly, right? And I was very shy as a kid, right? So like I could not even go up to my uncles who were in business and ask, because I was very shy. I was like, what if they don't tell me? Or it's some crazy story that that we always put, on ourselves, because you feel that you are not enough to ask that, which is wrong. I think, if someone, now today comes to me, I would not judge them for, asking any kind of question, honestly. So that was wrong of me, I think. And then back in 2016, I went to a trip in New Zealand, and then I met a guy called Bert. His name was Bert. And that guy was an architect, and he had given 40 years to this profession. And after 60, he started building his own homes, churches in the place that there was. And he told that the biggest regret that he has in life is he did not start something of his own earlier, because he would have more fulfillment, more time with his family. And obviously it was a short breakfast. He could not tell us everything, but that's where it struck me that like I'm pretty good at my job. I was in market research, I know numbers, I know marketing. I've spent time with people like Indra Nooyi, and like I've presented to these people, so I'm good at what I do. My wife, Simran, is an app developer. So she's tech, I'm marketing, and we can do something together, not knowing how complicated business is. But at
So
that
you
time,
both were working at that time.
we were both working, right? So, and then 3 months after, we came up with the idea, and she quit her job. Like Simran quit her job.
Just in 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
Because this guy sparked an interest in you.
We were 26, 27, right?
Okay.
Like there's no responsibilities, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm making good money in my business, in my company where I was working, and Simran can leave her job because we can, live off this, and that was the time when the switch flipped, and we thought more on business terms. And Simran comes from a business family, so it helped there after marriage. Like after my wedding, I got a little bit more exposure to business, and and then we started. And one thing, and I actually thanked him. I think it was 3 years ago. When I hit my first, good amount of money that we earned, I went on Airbnb, found him on Airbnb, and thanked him. And he didn't remember me. I think he didn't remember me. Just a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So, but he responded, and that was such. a turning point, and that's what flipped. And then I started my first business. It did not work very well. We were in Hong Kong at that time. We moved back to India to our parents' house because we had lost a lot of money. We thought that we'll shift that business in India and it'll work better, but for some reason it did not work there as well. We started a couple of more businesses just to keep the lights on. Did not work. Then we moved to Canada, but one thing was sure, that I may not be successful in my businesses, but that doesn't mean I cannot be successful in a business, right? So like I had learned so much that I was like, you know what? Now I understand the power of personal branding in all these years, and I can actually build a brand of myself. It doesn't matter how good looking I am or how, how I speak. I just need to start. And I started doing that in 2019. Started building a brand, called Potato Talkies at the time.
Yeah.
That was the name of the channel, and no objective of, okay, this will lead to real estate. That was not in the plan at all. But I just wanted to add value, because that's what Gary Vaynerchuk kept saying. He
Jab,
was my
jab,
hero
jab,
at that time. Like, yeah, so jab, 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 give, and something, will come your way. So we just give. There was COVID, and then 2021 happened. So 2 years after we started our channel, 2021, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I can't be living off my YouTube income, and I don't want to work anymore, because the entrepreneur bug had stuck me, right? 2017, right? So 2021, I was like, you know what? I don't have to reinvent the wheel, because I've tried reinventing the wheel and it did not work. I started 3 businesses, they failed. I tried to be different. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let me just get into a business that's tested. There are mortgage agents in Canada and around the world who make a lot of money. All I need to do is better than them. How do I do that, right? So like I just flipped my idea of success into, how do I become better than every other mortgage agent, rather than saying, how do I reinvent the mortgage, or how do I reinvent a business that has no, how do I make the next Meta? No, right? So that was my earlier business, where I was like, I will exit to Amazon for $1 billion in 2 years, which is impossible, but yeah, so that flipped, and then real estate journey started, and now we have a team of 25 people across mortgages and real estate, and yeah,
First thing that comes to my mind, you failed in multiple businesses. Usually for someone who was working and getting good paid, they would just go back and get settled for, just for whatever the pay.
Yeah.
Or, keep growing in the job.
Right.
But here again, despite of, all those setbacks, you came to Canada and you still worked and built business around it. And now you're, crushing it crazily. Where that energy or the motivation comes from, the drive.
So this actually goes back to my first day on the job. I was 22, 23, turning 23. In India, right? First day on my job, and there was an award ceremony happening, right? So I was working with Nielsen. It's a market research, like a giant. And there was an award ceremony happening. And there was this guy who came on the stage, and he was promoted to a director. They named him the youngest director in whole of Nielsen, and it's over 40,000 employees, right?
Oh, wow.
Globally. And he was named the youngest director, and he was 31 at the time. And I don't know what happened, and I was 22, right? I was like, you know what? I'll reach there before 30. So I was completely motivated to, do that, and I became a director at 29.
Wow.
So I became the youngest director in that company. But the weird part was that I forgot to tell this to Simran. This was 2017, right? So like I forgot to tell to Simran that I became a director, and it only hit me when the salary hit. Obviously, I got a bump in the salary. The salary came into my bank account. This was 2 months after I actually got the letter of being a director, and then you know what? I became a director. And Simran was like, "Are you crazy? Like you worked so hard for this, and you always wanted to be the youngest director." When you were getting married to me, you said that your first love is your job, and you want to retire like a CEO in this company, and you did not remember that you hit your goal that
That's
you worked
huge.
for.
So
And that's when it struck me that I was running after something that was just arbitrary. I made it up in my mind, but I did not value it enough when I reached there. And at that time, I was handling a team of 40 people across 18 countries. So I was big in my company. And I was too 2 steps away from vice president who was based in the
Wow.
US, right? So like it was, I was on a very, very fast track. Right now I'm 38. I would have become like in, like
The,
pretty
one of the
high up
top
in the,
executives.
yeah. So I was on track easily to do that. But I forgot. Forgot to tell the most important person, the most important thing that I valued. And that's where I got that, like switch that no, I'm not enjoying this. I think I meant to do much bigger things that I can see the impact, much quicker. Like if I get someone a home $50,000 lower, or get someone to save for their TFSA, I can actually see the impact right now. That was not there in the job, and that's where the that was the first
The switch.
why where I was like, no, I'm meant to do something
More.
bigger. What? I didn't have the answer for that. And why and what would keep me motivated? I didn't have the answer for that. And I kept, from one business to another, to another, to another. And 2021, even after I hit my first million in gross revenue, even then, people asked me, why are you doing this? And I did not have an answer because I didn't know. Like this is 2022. I was Alfonso Kudra. He's a pretty big, real estate investor, right? So I was in his conference, and I had gone to interview him, and in Ottawa, right? So like I was sitting in his conference. I'd already, like gone through that conference once when I joined Wealth Genius, and sitting through that, he said that when I was 13, he said that when I was 13, and it just took me back when I was 13. And then I realized that, oh, you know what? That mediocrity, thing that I talked about. And I was like, yeah, maybe that's the reason why I keep coming back from failure, because I didn't know. And that's where, I'm like, my why is very clear right now, that I really want to be that person who gets some people out of mediocrity. And some people are okay there and some people are happy, right? I'm only talking about people who are not happy, being there. Like they are making $200,000 per year, but they're not happy, because $200,000 per year is not bad.
Yeah.
It's a really good income.
Yep.
For most people, right? But they're not happy.
Yeah.
So those are the people that I, like want to help, because I was that people.
The interesting part, you are a very good employee. You were working probably your ass off to grow in that stage, at that young age. If you go back and look at yourself, whatever the ventures you started after 30, that should you have started in 2020, when you're 22, or, whatever happened is for a reason?
No, I don't think I would be the same person. So, we were talking before this that you watch my videos because they are very well researched. So the reason why, and I'm not a gifted researcher, I learned research in the largest market research company in the world, which is Nielsen. So the reason why I got promoted so heavily was that I was probably one of the few people who could look at a lot of data and make sense out of it, and only present, the things that would help people make a decision. My clients were PepsiCo, British American Tobacco, like some big retailers. Walmart was one of my clients, Reckitt, right? So like these were big people, CEOs looking at our presentations, and they wanted just 5 points that they can implement tomorrow. And we had like so much data, right? Which is exactly what happens right now. Economics is so vast. Like the real estate market, the stock market, right now what's happening is the real estate is going down, the stock market is going up. There are so many market factors, there's so much data available, and then there's so much noise on the news, and then Donald Trump doing something with the tariffs, and like there's so much noise. Making sense of that, I actually could not have learned anywhere else. So I don't think, maybe I could have started 2 years early, maybe I extended my stay in that job, but I don't regret my role there. And which is exactly what I tell a lot of people that I meet, is that you should not feel that you're wasting your years in working for someone else, because that's a paid, like you're getting paid to make mistakes, you're getting paid to learn, you're getting, like, who does that, right? Like, so I feel that it's not a waste. Like, at least for me, it was not a waste.
Also, like, at that time you didn't know what to do, right? Like, you're learning.
Yeah.
Because many people ask me, like, should I quit my job or do investing or whatever the career that I want to. Personally, I worked in a IT company for 5 years. While I'm working, I was leveraging my salary and leveraging whatever the extra time I have to build my investment portfolio. But again, that's a very good way of looking at things. You don't have to quit it if you're not clear about what you want to do. Good. And then you did a very fabulous job. That's why you got promoted. If you would not have done a very good job.
And I learned, right? So, like, there's a book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if you've read that.
Yep.
It's by David Cohen. There was a workshop that happened in Gurgaon, and I was one of two people who were nominated by the company to attend that workshop, and they paid for it. It's a it's a $7,000 workshop, a 2-day workshop.
Wow.
Dollar in India, which is a lot of money. Right? I could have not paid for it, but the to-do list that I learned in the fourth habit, I still use that. I still use the exact, and now, there's a lot of delegation that happens, but I still use that to-do list. I ask my people to use that to-do list because that to-do list is amazing.
Yeah.
And I could not have learned that if I was not working in a job. You just need to be open to it. And I didn't know that I would ever do a business. I was just being present for that job, for that role, like implementing whatever I learned from that workshop in my job to make money for my employer. But I think that work ethic, the learnings, like my articulation, the reason why I do YouTube videos, compress everything into 10 minutes, 20 minutes videos, I'm able to articulate well with my clients. All that I learned because I actually presented to people like Indra Nui. And I could not stand 1 minute with a global CEO of PepsiCo if I could not articulate all the information that I gathered from so many data points. If I were not able to, encapsulate that in 5 minutes, I could not stand a minute there.
That's a powerful statement. So, okay, let's switch the gears a little bit here, because you mentioned you failed in multiple businesses. Can you elaborate on the one that you failed terribly? If you would do the same business now, because before we started the podcast you said you would do the same business but you will succeed. So what would you do differently now, but also share us how you failed, what was the failure, the whole journey on that part.
I'll give you the very briefly what the business was, right? So we were making a smartphone app. So we had a smartphone app where people would upload their receipts. It's a very common model in Delhi. It's called Grounded. It was called Grounded. I don't think they exist anymore. But people would upload their receipts and we would harness that data and then give it to companies. Not, like personal data hidden, but we'll just, capture the data and we'll just, make analysis of that purchasing behavior and we'll give it to companies. So it was almost like a research company, but the difference was that the traditional research companies, this is back in 2016, 2017, they were not capturing data on the mobile. They were capturing data from the shops. And that took a month to come back, right? So there was a lot of manual data collection. This was giving us purchasing behavior in like 24 hours. So that was the whole idea on the B2B side. But for that, we wanted more people to download the app and then give the receipts. For that, we had to incentivize those people enough. And that's where all the money went. Right. So I lost almost 6 figures doing that.
Wow.
And this was in US dollars, right? So it's not Hong Kong dollars. So like I lost a lot of, money. And I came to Canada when I was 32, I think. And we came here with zero. And I was making a killing in my job, right? So like there's no reason why I would come.
The executive, like director.
Yeah, so I was the director and I was making a lot of money, like a lot of money there. And, there's no reason why I would come at 32 and start from zero. So that was, one thing that we did for 1.5 years in Hong Kong first. We built the app. There were learnings from that. Like Simran learned app development there, right? The reason why we are successful right now is because she's excellent at creating systems, but she learned that there, right? So that's where I think we lost. The reason why I said that, I would, if I were to do it, a similar business again, I would be successful is because I know that I had to raise a lot of money to make that successful. And now I know how to raise that money. Plus, I know that I was not doing enough in that business because you don't know what you don't know. I had just come from a pretty big brand name, which was Nielsen. And I was used to slapping that brand and saying that, oh, I'm Navjot from Nielsen. No one cared I'm Navjot.
Yeah,
Everyone
the
cared I'm
Nielsen.
from Nielsen. And therefore people gave me business.
Yeah.
But here I was like, hi, I'm Navjot from Stamplet. No one cares who Navjot is. No one cares who Stamplet is.
There's
Right?
no.
So I did not realize the power of authority. And I was 26, 27 at that time. So I could not even expel that authority. I can't say I'm ex Nielsen and therefore, So I think the knowledge on authority and the amount of work it takes to build that
build that
authority, I know it much better now. Even if I were to start from scratch and no one knew, I start a company called cup.com or whatever, right? So like I would be able to exert that authority a lot better, even if everything goes away today.
Because of you built that authority, or you're building that authority.
Building that authority, plus if everything is taken away right now, I know how to build it back again. So there's a lot of learnings in those, like failures, right? So all those learnings will not go away. If I didn't say that if I go back without the learnings, I'll probably not be successful. But if I go back to that business with everything that I've learned in the last, decade, for sure it'll be successful. Like I don't have an iota of doubt. So that's where, I always felt that businesses are successful because of the business, the product. It is part of it. But I think businesses are successful because of the entrepreneur. Which is why when I went to raise money for that business, people were not giving me money. The reason is I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I'm like, that's a different level of racism.
Yeah.
You're being racist to a first-time entrepreneur.
Why don't you give me a chance?
But it was not, that was the wrong thinking. They were giving me money with nothing in return, equity of zero. Like I was not making any money in that business, right? So they were betting on me.
Yeah.
It was not about the color. It was not about anything. It was a bet on me, not on the business. And now I understand that more than anything. So I think I have changed. I have learned. I have evolved. And now I feel that any business that I do, I have learned enough that it will be successful.
So how much role does your social media plays in building that authority?
Everything. Everything, right? So like I started, so let's switch gears to mortgages, right? So I started doing mortgages in November of 2021. An average mortgage agent who is doing it full time, right? I'm talking about, let's talk about an above average mortgage agent, right? How many mortgages do you think they do in a year?
30, 40?
30, 40. I did 95.
In your first year?
In my first year, right? Yes, it was 2022 and, business was plenty at that time, but it was 95 mortgages. So the brokerages that I interviewed with when in 2021, I told them that I'll do 50 and they laughed me off. They literally laughed me off. They said that
because that's a good amount of
possible, right? And I understand why. Now, if any mortgage agent comes to me and says that, oh, can I do it part-time? Can I do it? Like, it doesn't work like that, right? So, because 50 in a market and mortgages is very different. You don't have to beat another mortgage. You have to beat the bank.
Yeah.
You have to beat CIBC, who has a massive ass board welcoming Canadians in Canada.
And database.
On the airport.
Yeah.
And database. And bank accounts to go with. And people going and making checks and then, they slapping a mortgage and then they're competing with, like me. So 95 was a pretty big number and it was all because of the personal authority that I built on social media.
If you would have to start today, the same social media, what would you do to build the similar kind of business that you have done, for someone who is starting out?
I'll first work on my communication. I think that's important, right? Then let's say if there's a new mortgage agent or a realtor coming into the market, right? Let's talk about very specific, mortgage agent or a realtor. I think they have to first identify a niche, a very strong niche. I'll give you two examples here, and correct me because I'll be taking your example and I'll be taking my example, right? So for you, it was Windsor.
Yeah.
Like that was one part of the niche, right? Windsor. And then you had built an investment portfolio. So you were like anyone who is, tired of GTA, you come to Windsor and I'll help you build an investment portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a very clear niche that you had built. And then you obviously were doing first time home buyers and stuff. So that was the niche, right? Then for me, it was anyone who is new to the country and they are buying their first home and they are coming from South Asia. Right? That became my niche. Now that I was clear on my niche, that I'm not going to touch anyone who is not this. That's my perfect avatar. Now that I am clear on this, I'll only create content on this niche. I'll only create, that's why I talk about retirement. That's why I talk about first home. That's why I talk about paying off my first home. That's why I talk about upgrades. That's why I talk, but I don't talk about investment properties. Like very rarely would you see me talk about investment properties, right? It's not like I'm not serving investors, but I'm not doing that actively because that's not my niche. And then obviously when people come, and there are so many people who come to me and say that, oh, do you work with investors? And I'm like, of course I work with investors.
Yeah.
Like, mortgages as a product exists for investors as well, and I have the same products.
Yeah.
So I think that niche creation, I think most businesses, and now let's talk about other businesses. Let's talk about landscaping.
Yeah.
Right? That's my favorite business, right? If I were to do any other business and I were to, like get it into something else, which I don't want to, but landscaping would be one of those.
Okay.
So I would do landscaping business in expensive pockets of, let's say, Kitchener. So I'll go to, Dune South, area. I'll go to Grand River South. I'll go to, like Hidden Valley. And the way I would approach that is that any lawns who are not, that are not looking pretty, I'll just knock on the door and I'll ask them, can I mow your lawn? I'll do it for free. In return, I'll just make a video of mowing your lawn. Are you okay? One door will say no, two doors will say no, third door will say yes, right?
Yeah.
I'll mow their lawn. I'll do an excellent job. I'll create that video. And those videos are amazing, right? Like on social media, you see more, lawns being mowed. Then on one side, I have now content. I'll run an ad on that. Right. And people would love it. And I'll run a very specific area, specific Kitchener, like very, like hyper local ad on that. Then I'll go to the neighbor and say that, oh, I mowed their lawn. Right? Like, would you want me to do this? Yeah, I've done such an amazing job. They'll be like, yeah, sure. And that's how I'll just own that neighborhood. And then I'll run a subscription model on that. And then I'll do something, right?
Yeah.
But I'll use social media to run that ad hyper locally. And then, so you can actually apply this. I've created a niche. Rich neighborhoods who don't have obviously time, but they have a lot of money to spend. I'll not be charging less. I'll not be doing it for $40. I'll be charging like $3.99 a month, to do 3 lawnmowers. That's more than $100 a lawnmower, which is more double, but because I've just picked a niche and I don't have to serve everyone.
Yeah, actually, you hit on the head nail very precisely, because without knowingly, I'm not a data guy.
Yeah.
But without knowingly, I happened to start investing. And I happened to, I had to get into sales to just pay off my bills. And all I knew was investing. So I was making content on Windsor and investing. So it happened to, but, it's very precise. Like if someone getting into or already existing in a business, whatever the business you're in, probably you would have your own strengths, right? Like make that as your niche. So for you, I believe that first-time homebuyers come from your old YouTube channel before Grow With Nav,
Absolutely.
the Product right?
Yeah.
Because there you're coming across a lot of the first-time homebuyers who are like never bought a property, don't know what to do. Because a lot of your content around that.
So on Potato Talkies, we used to create immigration content, right? And I did not monetize that at all, right? So then, I still remember it was Christmas. We had hit 100,000 subscribers in 1 year of starting that channel, right? On Christmas of that year, 2020, Christmas of 2020, right? So I was stressed. And I was like, and I could not sleep the entire night. And I was like, and Simran was like, why are you not sleeping? And I'm like, we are dependent. And this was the best month. I used to make $4,000 after taxes in my job at Walmart. I was working in market research, Walmart, taken a massive haircut on the salary. I was 3 levels lower than where I was, right?
Yeah.
It was COVID and everything, right? There were reasons for that. And I made over $4,000 in that month from YouTube ad revenue in that month. And Simran was like, you made double what you make. Like, you made your salary and you made this and you were, like 2 weeks off
Yeah.
like, why are you stressed? And I'm like, I can't be dependent on YouTube revenue if I have to leave my job. And that's where I was like, okay, what's the biggest problem that these immigrants that we already have an audience for, they have when they come here? My biggest problem was job. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me help people get jobs because I have an experience of handling 40 plus employees, 18 countries. I know this, right? I know this. So I created something called as a first job accelerator. Even that was first job, right?
Gosh, yeah.
First time home buyers, first job, right? First job accelerator. And that I used to train 10 people at a time, earlier 5 people at a time. I used to take $200. So I used to make like $4,000 or $5,000 a month doing that every weekend. I was like, that's great, right?
Yeah.
That's repeatable. I
So
had a
you're
wait
able to
list of
replace-
3,400 people. And I was only taking 10 a week or 5 a week, right? So I was like, that's amazing. Then I was like, okay, this is not sustainable because I'm trading time for dollars here. I can't train another person to train people. Maybe now I can because I didn't have that.
But at that time,
at that time, I was like, only Navjot can do this because only Navjot has the content to do this, or I can automate this some way.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Live is better, right? So I was like, this is not enough. I need to increase the ticket size of this. Now, either I increase the ticket size in this accelerator, but maximum I can go is $2,000 maybe. But that's not enough. So what's the next problem that these same people have? It's buying their first home. So that's how the mortgage, the real estate came into play. I was just trying to solve the problem for the audience that I had built. And it just then, now I can look back and say, oh, create a niche. You can, because that's all knowledge and
But
that's
the
all
niche
experience.
came from the audience that you built over the period.
Exactly. It's exactly like you. You were in Windsor, you were investing in the properties and it just became a niche.
Yeah.
But if you were to engineer that as someone who wants to get into business, that's the exact blueprint.
So if I have to, do the same thing, but, I'm completely blank.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything yet. So from my understanding, what you're suggesting is start growing your social media first.
Not just that. First, before growing your social media, I think you need to identify your niche. Because it's all people, right? The same people needed a job product. The same people needed an immigration agent. The same person needs, like a mic. The same person needs a coffee. It's the same person. Same person, when they grow, they need a lawn care company.
True.
Right? It's the same person because we are getting touched by so many businesses. So you need to first understand who you are serving. Because then whatever business you do on top, you would find, like those businesses that can actually serve that particular niche. For me, it was new immigrants. For you, it was people in Windsor, right? For you, it was Windsor, right? Or investing, right? So just identify that niche. And where does the niche come from? Look at yourself. Who are you? Like you were an IT guy living in Windsor, wanting to make money. That's the kind of clients that you drove to yourself.
True.
Right? Your first 100 clients for those, right?
Yeah.
For me, I was a new immigrant in this new country who just bought his first home. So those are the clients that drove to me. And again, like now if you take that one notch up, the reason why I did 95 mortgages was that I bought my first investment property. Okay, you'll resonate with that as well, right? So I bought my first investment property, and I think you know the story. I bought that investment property to launch my mortgage career.
To launch your mortgage career. Okay.
So my mortgage career got launched by making a video on I bought my first investment property in Calgary. Right? It was not a bad investment. I made a lot of money in that deal, right? The reason why I did that, I went to that extent of buying an investment property is because people like to work with people who hit one notch up. What I mean by that is, if a first-time home buyer comes to a person who has only bought their first home or who has never bought a home, they would be like, okay, this guy, I'm doing it because I like him, but not because I'm as ambitious as him. So first-time home buyer, when he came to me, it was not because they came to me because I bought my first home. I bought my first home and my investment property. So then he was like, okay, I'll work with Navjot so that I can get
to that
buying an investment property.
Damn, that's interesting.
Then when that novelty started to wear off, I was like, okay, and I was also growing, right? I was like, okay, now what do I do next? I want to invest in cash flow. I want to invest in the US. I'm not a mortgage agent in the US now, but the people came to me because, you know what? He bought his first home. I'm still not saying that I'm doing investors. I'm still saying first home. But I attracted ambitious people who wanted to not just buy their first home, but also buy their investment property, but also buy in the US. That's how you scale, right? And you just need to look at you. And I understood that because I am doing this because there is a certain level of ambition in me. And I'm sure that there are other people like me who just want some guidance. And they would buy their first home with me because they want to do everything else.
That's actually powerful to think, just what you want to do and what you're doing, you're putting that out on social media. And without knowing it, that is becoming your identity. Okay.
Yeah.
I see, okay, I want to do this kind of things. You also talk a lot about stocks, a lot about, again, your main mission of retiring. So now, without knowingly, you're attracting those ambitious people.
Now it's knowingly. But
Earlier, yes.
Yes.
For me, at least when I started, it was unknowingly.
Yes.
But the way for someone who is watching this podcast, that means now they can learn, you can put consciousness to that, that thought process. So here, now the question comes in. You're doing on social media. I'm so bad at social media, right? I don't want to put my face out there.
Okay.
What do you want me to do now?
I think, Aditya, and you and I can agree with that. If we too can do it, anyone can. You just need to get over the insecurity that's stopping you from doing that.
Did you had insecurities?
Absolutely. I don't look the prettiest. I didn't even know how to, speak to a camera. I could speak to you, right? Podcast is easy for me, right? But if you put a camera in front of me and I have to speak to the camera, it's difficult because I'm speaking to myself or a lens, right? Like there's no one. Like for the first 1 year, I could only do it if there was someone standing behind the camera, right? So whatever is stopping you from doing it, you just need to get over that or find a way of getting over that because there's no alternative. If you want to grow fast in business in today's world that's being hit by AI, if you're not even doing social media, I'm not saying you can't be successful. I could be successful as a mortgage agent, as a realtor, as a landscaping company, as whatever I'm going to sell. I can be successful if I do it long enough. If I do it 5 years, 10 years, if I keep doing it, I'll be successful. I don't want to spend 10 years. I really feel that realtors and mortgage agents would get replaced in 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that, right? So like I don't have 10 years to succeed, and therefore I have to make the most amount of money. And the fastest way to do that is to get over your insecurity and get on social media and have a niche and speak only to that niche and attract the audience that you are. You don't even have to go find a niche. Who you are is your niche. Just put yourself out there.
That's actually pretty well said words because, if you want to just do it in long run, do whatever the way you want to. But if you want to do it now and right away, as fast as possible, I agree with that 1,000%.
I'll give you a real example. Okay, let's just look at it in a real example way. So when I became a mortgage agent, I never came to you to say, Aditya, give me business.
Never.
And the reason is not because I didn't want to. The reason is that when I went to other successful agents in my area, they said no to me. Now, there was one guy who actually said, the reason why I'm saying no is because I really value my clients and I can't risk giving it to a new agent. Right? I don't take anything from my mortgage agent, right? So he said that I don't take, some realtors take, kickback from the mortgage agent. I don't do that because I want my clients to be served in the best possible manner. And I would love to work with you after a year, after 2 years, because I can't risk, my agent's commission just because someone new screws up and I don't know you, right? That's the reason why I didn't come to you ever, right? Because I knew that it makes sense.
True.
It just makes sense. And therefore, I was like, okay, what do I do now? I actually closed, because that's the other alternative for a mortgage agent, right? Instead of making content on social media, you go to successful realtors or realtors and grow with them.
Yeah.
Right? Give them kickback or whatever, right? But there's no amount of kickback that a mortgage agent can give to a realtor for a crappy job on their clients, because they lose their entire commission. A kickback is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And even that goes away because even the mortgage agent is not able to close that client, right? So I was like, okay, that door is
Closed, especially if you're new.
If you're new, that door, so what do I do next? Social media. There's no third option. What option do I have but to attract my own audience?
So I got over my insecurities. If I want to start today, which platform would you recommend and why?
Depends on the kind of business.
Okay.
Right? If it's a business that requires a lot of trust building, then I would do YouTube. The reason why I do YouTube, and it's not just YouTube, I'll talk about different platforms, right? So right now I'm using Instagram, YouTube, email marketing, and events, right? So YouTube, events, Instagram are two very different things. The reason for that is that if you want to build trust, for example, if you are a realtor, you have to build trust. If you're a mortgage agent, you have to build more trust because then
it's a bigger ticket item.
It's finance. No, it's finance, right? It's
finance.
big. It's not just about that. Talk about shampoo. Let's talk about a different industry altogether. I come from a CPG background, not from this yet. CPG, shampoo, we always used to call it a high involvement product.
Okay.
Not because it's expensive, because it's my hair. I'll not screw up my hair.
That easily.
Same way, skincare, it's not because it's expensive, it's a high involvement product because it's my skin. I'll not pay that much attention on the kind of cup that I'm using for my coffee.
Then the ones
I'll buy from an IKEA or a fancy, depending on what I can buy, because it's not a high involved. I'll buy an expensive cup as well. Even the skincare product, which is costing $10 versus a cup that's costing $15, I'll still pay a lot more attention to the $10 thing than a $15 cup or a $20 cup, right? That's because of a high involvement product versus a low involvement product. Real estate is a high involvement product. That means that you need to build a lot of trust in people. And for that, you need to be on a platform where people actually come to get educated so that they don't make mistakes. That's not Instagram. Because on Instagram, it's like, I always say it's like door knocking. You just, people open Instagram in the morning, they're looking at dance videos, and then Aditya and Navjot come and say, oh, buy on Windsor, buy the first home, 3 mistakes that... They didn't sign up for that on Instagram, right? They were just gonna watch, dance videos.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted in the morning. Whereas YouTube, they actually came on YouTube and searched, how can I buy my first home? How do I buy my first investment property? How is Windsor as a market, right? So those search results would give you our videos, and then that would build a lot more trust because people actually came seeking for that video. Right? It's much more difficult to build. I'm not saying it's easy. It's way harder, way 30x harder to build something on YouTube. But once you get that, and once you understand this high involvement versus low involvement, landscaping. Landscaping is not very high involvement. You can actually get a lot of business from Instagram. So it depends on the kind of business that you are in, where you decide on the platform. I didn't do TikTok at all. The reason was that in India, hardly anyone used TikTok because TikTok was banned. Especially during the time I was, building my business, right? So TikTok, I was like, okay, people are coming from India, they're not using TikTok there, so there's no point of me doing TikTok. And therefore, I'll not do TikTok and I'll only do, events was another high involved. So events actually... So I did events of 100 people at a time. You were on a couple of those events, right? So I did 100 people, and it was a new immigrant event. We never talked about real estate, hardly. And the reason was that community, that's the other important factor. If you build a community around your product, it always does well. If you build and you have built a community around Windsor real estate, right? You do events, right? You freedom agent, the t-shirt that you had, right? Like, you were building a community around, what you do. That's exactly what I was doing. I was just trying to help immigrants meet one another. There were 2 people who got married on one of those events. Right? So it's crazy, right? They met on those events and they got married, and now they invest, together. But what I'm saying is that, those events created a lot of authority and they created a lot of connections. And even though there were 100 people who came to that event, I would get almost 20-25 clients from that eventually. I know that. So that's a high involvement activity for a high involvement product. So the platform depends on the product.
So let's assume that it's a high involvement,
Yeah.
like mortgages, like, anything to do with finances, anything to do
Yes.
directly impact on my health. So for high involvement, you suggest
YouTube and podcast.
YouTube and podcast.
Yeah.
And now I'm open to do the videos. How can I get started when I feel like I'm not an expert at? Because, when you started mortgages, you're not an expert at. You're a new person for mortgages, but you're not new person for your,
Yes.
for your community, the immigrants, because you were doing YouTube.
I would definitely not make videos which everyone else is making in the beginning. I would not make a video on how to buy your first investment property. I'll not make a video on how to buy your first home. I'll not make a video on 3 mistakes that I did when I, bought my first home. Because those videos are so many, plenty.
Because
out
already
there.
there is a crowd.
Plus, I'm not comfortable doing that because I've just started. I'll make a video on myself, which is why I launched my career with the video on how I bought my first investment property in Calgary. That was easy for me. Right?
Yeah, because it was your journey.
It was my journey. I was just showing, here I am, Calgary. I have come here for one day. I'm looking at these homes. This is Brookfield. This is this is this price. This is what I have bought it at. This is the reason why. This is the rental that I'm expecting. Oh, here's a pond. There was a $10,000 premium for the pond. Whatever, right? So I was just sharing my own story. It was not difficult because it was as it was happening to me. I didn't have to write a lot of script. In that, I was just being natural and I was being authentic. So you just talk about yourself, which is exactly what you did, right? I saw your videos and you were an inspiration why I started, my real estate journey. And, I saw you, English is not your first language. No. You still made, like videos in English. And I have seen you come such a long way in the way you communicated, but your videos still worked. Why? Because you were sharing your own story and that was authentic.
Yeah. But, the thing is, you don't get that much views or anything, right? So how do I react to them? Because see, I'm new, first year, I'm getting 100 views, 200 views, 500 views. Should I be disappointed or should I come up with more ideas?
A room full of 100 people is a lot of people. So in my view, if you're a mortgage agent or a realtor, one commission check is worth a lot more. Like for a mortgage agent, an average commission check will be $6,000. For a real estate agent, it will be about 10 plus, right? $15,000. And if you're in GT, $20,000, right? Even more, depending on your niche, right? So a room full of 100 people. Just imagine, okay, you got 100 views. Don't see 100 views versus 50,000 that someone got. Look at 100 views and imagine 100 people in the room, 50 people, 25 people in the room. And then imagine that you have created that one video and it will be seen for 7 years. I'll give you a very perfect example that actually, makes sense right now. I created a video where I said that I would never buy these kind of homes. Something like that. I made this 1 year ago. Right. I talked about I'll never buy, close to a cemetery. I'll never buy, these are the kind of homes that you should not buy. Right. That video got 20,000 views, which was my average for the channel. So 10 to 25,000 views. And suddenly 1 year later, this video is now at 140,000 views. And I started getting leads. A lot more leads, and this is 5 months ago, right? So I started getting a lot more leads and I was like, I'm not doing anything different. Why am I getting more leads? And the reason why I was getting more leads was because a video, some algorithm just picked up that video, someone made that video, whatever, right? So for some reason that video actually picked up and I got a massive amount of leads from a video I made 1 year ago. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because first of all, those 100 views are not stationary. Those 100 views are a lot. There's so many people, who have watched, imagine a room full of room. Plus, you will get the fruits of that video for the next however long YouTube exists.
True. And, one thing interesting move you made in your journey, especially the social media journey, you had the Potato Takis channel where it's all about lifestyle. And then you literally shut off that and started Grow With Nav. Almost zero.
Yeah.
First of all, why? And second of all, do you think you did a right thing or was it a wrong move? Because there you had what? Millions of views, right? Because that's where I know you.
Yeah.
I know you
we
from
had over 50 million views.
Yeah. That's where I know you. And now is now at what?
25,000 subscribers.
25,000 subscribers. 3 million views. Big difference.
Yeah. First of all, that was the best decision that I made. The best decision that I made. This was mid of 2022. when I made this decision, but this was the best decision that I made. It was, in fact, 2023, I think. 2022, I was just playing with it. I did not shut down Potato Talkies completely.
Yeah.
I just, dabbling with it.
Yeah.
It was also one of the most difficult decisions. The reason was that we had 200,000 subscribers. We had over 50 million views. But I'm a data guy. I looked at my views and I saw that 72% of those views were coming from India, like Indians in India. You can actually see the analytics there. And I was starting a real estate business. I was like, there's no point. An algorithm is, like that, right?
Yeah.
Everything that I had read, YouTube formula, all the videos that I watched at that time, they said that if you change the kind of content that you are making, the algorithm will not be forgiving. It will actually penalize you. So I was like, you know what? Okay. Objectively speaking, yes, emotionally speaking, I can't shut Potato Talkies down. But objectively speaking, if I have to make a business in Canada, I want to attract more Canadians or Indians who are in Canada. And for that, Potato Talkies is not, first of all, the right brand name. And funnily enough, my mortgage company is still called Potato Talkies Inc.
Officially, on the papers.
But nothing Potato Talkies happens there because that was the company where I started taking the commissions, right?
Yeah.
So it was first of all not the right brand name because it was not professional enough, and that's fine. We had built a very serious business on that as well. But still, Potato Talkies was fun but not professional enough. And second of all, I wanted to make a more closely knit personal brand, and I wanted to attach my name to it. So I was like, okay, now it's getting serious. Like this has potential of making millions of dollars and helping millions of people. I want to make a choice, a very informed choice. And plus I was very confident that I've done it once, I can do it again. And in a much more effective, measured, like specific manner than I could ever turn the same channel, around, right? So that was a very objective choice because I had to disconnect myself emotionally from it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to disconnect. What would I tell another 30-year-old who is in this situation? And what advice would I give it to him? And that advice was that shut down this and go all in on this. And we didn't even shut down in the beginning. First 5 months, we were doing both. We tried to do both. But then all my resources, I had one editor. They had to edit this, and then YouTube, and then Instagram. And I was like, okay, I am wasting my resources on something that's not paying me anything. And it's just entertaining people. And I'm not an entertainer. And I'm a value provider. And Grow With Nav is providing a lot of value. Let me just shut down all my resources here. Shut down this channel. It's fine. We had about 1,000 subscribers on Grow With Nav. I was like, I'll grow this again. In hindsight, it was the best decision. At that point, it was one of the most difficult choices.
Biggest difficulty for many people, including me, for me going from just running a small team to opening a brokerage, I have to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
I have to make decisions on a lot of things, what to do, what not to. But we as a human being, when there is a change to be made, we fight a lot within. Many people would not see outside because, that's a big audience that you built over the years. And now you don't know whether this is going to work or not. Yes, you are confident because you're a data guy. You did all those things, but still the change.
Something stops you.
Yeah.
Having been in the business for almost a decade now, and then this is after, I've been working since 22, so it's been 17 years of working life. What I've realized is whenever I don't listen to my intuition, which everyone has, right? And intuition is built from your experience. So the more experienced you are, the better your intuition is. If I don't listen to my intuition, I have made mistakes every single time, whether it's investing, whether it's buying my home, whether it's like every single thing in my personal and professional life. If I don't listen to my intuition, which I've built through my experience and my failures and my successes, I always fall short, right? So I think that if I look back now, the even more difficult decision was that, and I'll just play it out, right? I bought my first home. It was a condo in Kitchener. We also bought a pre-construction, just like 3 or 4 months, but it was getting delivered in 2023. But I had to, make money for that as well, right? So I had to pay for that. When I left my job, I also bought the Calgary home because I had to launch my career, right? So I was and we did not have a lot of money. Simran was working a $4,500 per month job. I left my job to start my mortgage career. I had zero clients at that time because I left my job and then started my mortgage career. And I did not have a lot of savings. The interest rate at that time was 1.2, 1.3, but I didn't know that it will increase to 6%.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that could go wrong, and I did not have a nest egg to protect myself at all. Now, if I look back, at that time, I was like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Like, I would not recommend myself if I was, I did. But at that moment, I listened to my intuition.
So you're feeling it like
I was feeling it that, and I can't explain that, obviously, Aditya, if someone asks me, oh, listen to your feelings, it's so cliche.
Yeah.
But I listened to myself. Same thing happened with the channel switch, right?
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, you know what? I feel like it and I should do it. And the biggest thing is that, and this is how I make all my decisions. Every single decision that I have made from from when I started the business to now, and it has worked, is I always look at regret. So let's say I have two decisions. One is I keep Potato Talkies or my previous channel and I start Grow With Nav with it. That means split focus, right? Resources are double, right? What if both don't work?
Yeah.
Right? Worst is if I shut down the one and go all in on Grow With Nav, which makes sense, right? Objectively speaking, what if that doesn't work? There'll be regret on both ends, right? Which regret I'm willing to live with. I was willing to live with something which was taking resources but not giving me anything, but it was splitting my focus. I was willing to, shut that down and live with the regret that I actually shut down a working channel. I started a brand new channel, and for some reason that did not work. I'm okay with that because I'm in my mind, it's a lesser regret to at least I tried the right thing in my head. So that's how I look at intuition. And then when I'm not able to make a decision, and what would do? Leaving my job.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people don't do that
Yeah.
for a long time. Even though they are making $250,000, still they are in your head. People who are watching this, they'll be like, oh, I'm worth more, right? That's exactly how I left my job. I was like, you know what? If I don't leave my job right now, I'll have a regret. When I'm 70, I'll have a regret. What if I had, built a business that could change the generations, to come? I'll have that regret.
Yeah.
Then if I leave my job and start a business, and then there'll be a regret. If I fail, there'll be a regret. Oh, I failed. But I can always go back to my job.
True.
I lose 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but I'll always go back to my job and I'll probably land at the same place because life is long, right? And I'll be better at my job because I failed a business, right? So, which is a bigger regret? I was like, you know what? I'll leave my job. If I fail, I'll regret it, but it's 2 years. That's fine. I can always go back to my job. So it's a smaller regret to have. But 70 years not doing it, fuck that would fuck my brain up, right? It's
more,
I'm like, shit.
True. But do you think that's the biggest difference between the ones who really get what they want in life?
Two things. One is this regret, making a decision. It just helps you make a decision, right? But the second one is having a very strong why. Like, why are you doing this? Because there will be hiccups. I joined the industry probably at the easiest time. End of 2021, 2022, everyone was buying, right? So I joined the industry at the easiest time. I truly believe that, right? But right now, it's probably the toughest time that the industry has seen. And I'm talking to like people who have done 20 years of this industry. They're retiring right now because it's the toughest market, right? So I'm still going. Why?
Why? What is your why?
Look, so I don't have a choice. Honestly, Aditya, whys change. First of all, the first why was that my parents have worked very hard and I wanted to retire them. Now they live with me. They don't work, and I can afford anything, right? Then if you go one step deeper, they'll get sick. I don't want to go back to India and take care of them. So I want to be able to afford their, care here in Canada. And that requires money, right? Like home care requires a lot of money. It will be, we can put numbers to it, $8,000 per nurse per month.
Wow.
That's the amount of money which is required, which I cannot afford in my job ever. Right? With my expenses, mortgage, everything, I will not be. So that was one why that I had 2 years ago. But I think I've secured that, right? I'll probably, as long as my health is, I'm well, I'll probably never be not be able to do that now, right? The second why now that I have is Aryan, my son, right? He's 10 months old. When he was born, I was like, I want to be every bit of that person that I want him to become. That means I should be kind. I should be helping other people. I should not be a pushover, because kindness and pushover can go in hand. I have to be decisive. Everything that, I want him to become, I want to embody that. So now my why becomes I want to help more people, genuinely help. It's not about helping because my business will grow. Whether or not that grows or not, I want to genuinely help people because I want Aryan to become that person.
So instead of saying what to become, you want to show him
exactly, right?
With your actions.
I want to show him the kind of, not about business, right? I don't care if he becomes a mortgage agent or a realtor. As a human, right? At a human, and gives me goosebumps even saying that, right? Because I've not said that out loud. So as a human, I want him to see the person I am. And for that, I have to be good, right? I can't, I can't be a gangster and, this is what you learn, right? I have to be genuinely good because kids see everything, right?
Can sense every
they sense everything, right? I have to have positive energy. It has to be energy all the way to profession. I want him to learn that, financial education, helping other people, kindness, communication, everything that I feel that he. And with experience, what a good human being is. You have met so many, right? I just want to embody all of that. And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But that's also my why. I want to do it. So Grow Nation, right? So let's talk about Grow Nation for a minute, right? So I built this community called Grow Nation. All my clients actually come into Grow Nation. We have over 500 people. Now, the reason why I'm building it is not because I only want to help those people. Obviously, I want to help those people. But I also want to help their kids. This is something that I've never said out loud. The reason why I want to help their kids is because the more educated we are financially, the better educated our kids will be from a very early age. Imagine if Aryan or Ahlia has a TFSA account from the age 18. Or you start, saving for her in RESP, at this, all those things, if people don't, in our age group don't know, their kids would actually not know. And plus, I am very confident that in 15 years, and this is a very strong statement, but in 15 years, the education system will not be the same.
Yeah.
It will not be at the pace at which the industry is moving, right? It can't be, right? So it could be that in 15 years, Aryan or our kids would not have a job.
Yeah.
And they would have to learn everything on an alternate education system. And I'm making Grow Nation so that a 10-year-old can understand how to make money and how to, So it's not just about the 1 million people. It's also about the kids, because I really feel that if we learn more, our kids would learn better.
Yeah.
And maybe I then create a Grow Nation kids and they're,
wow.
I'm just thinking, 15, 20 years. That's why I said, I might retire financially at 50, but I'll never stop working.
This is on a bigger mission.
It's just So it's not about the 1 million that I'm helping, which is my clients. It's about 1 million, which is inclusive of their kids and their generations.
But this is more of a selfish reason, to be more peaceful or dying with a peace.
No, it's for Aryan. I want to create a system for Aryan, and I'm pretty sure it will work for everyone else. It's everything is okay. Yeah. That's the other thing. Your why has to be selfish. It can't be selfless. So I say that I want to retire my parents, but the real why is that I don't want to go back to India when they get sick. It's a selfish reason.
Yeah.
Right? I want to afford their care here. I say that I want to retire 1 million immigrants with $5 million. I want to create an education system that my son can learn from. And if it helps 1 million people, that's great.
Yeah. And you can make, the lifestyle that you want for your 5 million goal as well.
Yeah.
True. So, because, there's a lot of negative energy around this being selfish, being selfless.
I mean, people can say all the audience who is seeing, they are coming here to be successful because that's what they are watching this, and it's a selfish thing.
Yeah,
it's always a self. Now you can't be selfless if you're not selfish. If you are broke as hell, you can't. For example, when Aryan was born, so I had a mission of raising $10,000, not giving $10,000, but raising $10,000 for the neonatal ICU in Grand River. But I didn't want to give 10,000. I can give 10,000, but I wanted to raise that. Why? Because I want to see Aryan Like he has to see me use my skills for a cause, right? So I do these in-person events not to make money of them, but to raise money so that I can, then donate that to the Grand River
You're not
Hospital.
only using your skills, but you're also using your time that you could have made, business out of it somewhere else.
Yes. And that's selfish. I would not say that's selfless because I want Aryan to look at that.
But is it like more of a combination, because the style of business here that you're building, it involves one, selfishness, because we want whatever we want, it's a human. But at the same time, the value you're giving out to people, it's not just...
That's why being selfish is not wrong. Because if you're not selfish and if you don't secure yourself first, you would always be tempted to take that money that you raised for something because you are not full, right? So you have to be able to be full. That's why a lot of wealthy people pledge their wealth. Now, there's so many people who pledge 99% of their wealth. But that 1% that they have is worth $1.3 billion. They can't spend it. So they are being selfish, but because they are wealthy, they are able to do so much good, eradicate like polio, for instance, in a lot of places, right? So you can't do that if you are not, selfish first.
True.
And it's not a bad. In my view, I've come to learn that people hate money. Or people hate people who make money, and they feel that, and I used to be that person that used to feel that, oh, this guy is doing something wrong, and that's how
that's why they have money.
That's why they have money. If I used to see the house that I live in right now, if I saw that house and I'm like, this guy is a gangster.
So negative energy
around people who make money, because just that you don't know what you don't know. I think that needs to go away with most people, and that can only go away if you embrace being selfish, so that you are able to be selfless later.
True. That's why, like, if we look at how these bigger hospitals or lot of bigger things happening because of those rich people who are donating. Because I learned that after in last few years. I didn't know that a lot of people actually donate for those, in Windsor Hospital, I know a guy who donated $8 million.
Wow.
I used to think that, rich people are just, they don't spend anything, they just keep everything for themselves. But, the more I'm meeting more people who made really well, they actually do a lot more to the society than the ones who are just surviving for themselves. Because, you're already struggling to pay for your own...
That probably is the most selfish thing that you can do.
That's more,
And in my view, that's more selfish. In fact, I'm talking to myself who was in that situation. And the person who felt that, being selfish is wrong, that same Navjot, I'm actually saying that to him, that's in fact selfish.
Yeah.
Because you're not able to do more for the world.
All you're doing is just for yourself and your family. Okay, so let's switch the gear to some games. Because a lot of serious topics. Games. Business roulette. So we have a ball with 8 business names written on it, like starting from food industry, trucking, IT consulting to YouTube. So you're going to pick one and you build a business around it, answering 3 questions. Who is the customer? What is the offer? And how do you sell it to those customers?
Okay.
Perfect. Sid, can you bring that ball? So here's
the wow.
Ball. Yep.
It's a surprise. Food truck.
Okay.
This was something that actually came up in one of my startup boot camps that I do for charity, right? So, food truck, amazing. So, who is the customer? I think the customer would be a busy individual who's going to office in a very busy, for example, downtown Toronto or Mississauga. Where there are banks there, that could be one of the main primary, because food truck is also mobile. So you can actually serve different places. Obviously permits and everything, aside, we'll not talk about that. You can get that because the food trucks exist, right? So I'll be targeting those people. Then I'll also be understanding what do these people need. So if I talk about busy professionals, they are people who are trying to eat healthy. So I'll not be selling, something which is unhealthy on that food truck, because that's not my target audience, right? My target audience is the people who want to eat healthy and they don't want a lot of calories. They want more protein. So I'll build a menu around that.
So that's your offer.
That's my offer, right? So like I serve healthy, protein-rich food to busy professionals working in busy streets. Let's say that's the customer and the audience. How will I sell it? First of all, food truck is an amazing thing because it actually moves. So you have a branding which is moving and people will find you. Plus, it's not very difficult to sell a food truck because you can just put a camera like outside the food truck or inside preparing food, and you can create videos on that and then put it and then do a hyper local like targeting. But you're not targeting only people in Toronto, you're targeting people, let's say, in 100-kilometer radius of Toronto, because those people are coming there to work. So it's not like you're targeting only those people, you're targeting 100 kilometers, but you also put filters like busy professionals, stuff like that. So that's how you do it. And then I'll go one step ahead because there are regulars, right? That's what I see food truck companies don't do. If they are regulars, I'll actually give some kind of a tiffin subscription to them. I'll say that if you take 20 meals a month, you actually get a 30% discount. If you refer me a customer, I'll actually make the next 2 meals free. Exactly how InstaMeal and all these, tiffin services do, like online, you have, what is that? Freshie and like,
Yeah, Freshie.
HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
So HelloFresh does, right? Exactly that model, but in a hyper-local area. So that's how I would do it. But you can actually flip the script and you say that, oh, I only sell in parks. Like you can have a food truck but that's how I would do it because first of all, the food truck will be, the probability of success is higher because you're targeting people who are busy, who can't make lunch. So it's obvious that they would want something which is healthier.
Yeah.
Plus, cost element is not there a lot of the times because these people are also making a lot of money. So, you are actually solving a rich people's problem there. So, that problem is also not there. And then, you can actually sell this to corporate because the same offices, if you have regulars, maybe there's a vice president or a president who is also meeting with you or someone and then you can reach out to them and see that, if you can set up, like a catering service in the office. And that way you can actually expand a second stream of business. So that's how I would do it because it's high margin.
That's genius. And also you mentioned that social media part. Now showcasing all that healthy thing. You can have multiple food trucks across all the busy streets.
And then I can do franchisee. Even if I don't do franchisee, if that one food truck is very successful, I would actually run it at a corporate because I feel that franchisee businesses are actually not that great because that just, pulls money out on the top. So if it's successful, I'll actually have, Chipotle does this, right? Chipotle does not have franchisees. They have owner-operated. Right? So they take a revenue share, but it's not franchisee. They still set it up for them. So I'll do the same in Mississauga, then in Kitchener, and then outside the Google office, and then corporate, and that's how I just expand that. And you don't actually need a lot of social media for this.
Lovely.
You can actually do it in a very hyper local way.
Yeah, but social media definitely,
it just accelerates things. It gets you started, but it's not the only thing that you have to do.
Another game by. So the game called 90-12. So I want you to give a 90 days plan that can set the person up in 12 months. So you always mention the 5 million asset value for someone to retire. Take a person who just started their career, just started working. What plan would you give him to do in next 90 days that can set him up?
So 90 days, first of all, it depends on product-based business or a service-based business because there are different things. Let's say service-based, right? Because you can actually do it with the least amount of money, right? So the first 90 days, assuming that I have the skills for the business, right? So otherwise you have to learn communication stuff. So always go with skills. The business that you have skills for, only get into that business, right? So let's assume that it's a service-based business. Let's pick the lawn care company or you pick any business where you can actually door knock. Right? I would pick only that business.
Okay.
If you were to do it in 90 days, right? If I were to door knock as a lawn care company or a pest control, like you can actually put it to every different,
or
thing.
paint company or,
a paint company, like all those businesses that, require a house and you can door knock that house, right?
Gotcha.
So that's the kind of business that I'll do. In the first 90 days, what I'll do is I'll create an offer first. I need to understand the niche and you can do it in one day, right? So you can understand the niche. Okay, I'm doing a lawn care business or a pest control business. I'll do it in, let's say a lawn care business, I'll do it in only, like really great neighborhood. A pest control business, I'll also do in great neighborhoods, but I'll focus on their investment properties, like those people's investment properties. Because pest control is a bigger problem in their investment properties than in their personal homes. They can have a pest control issue in their personal homes as well. For that, I'll also choose a different like a market, but let's not get there. Let's talk about lawn care. Then I'll door knock 100 doors. The first 7 days. Like, you don't have to build a business plan. I would not build a business plan here.
So you
I'll
just go
pick
door
a
knock.
niche. I'll just pick an area, and I'll just go and door knock 100
100
doors.
doors.
I'll do, on every street, I'll do 2 or 3 doors for free. And I'll create content. I'll have a camera, I'll create content around that, and I'll then say that, oh, like, I also have a subscription model. I'll do your lawns for $40 a week, whatever, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then I'll go one door till the time I hit 20 doors. Now, if it takes me 200 doors to do 20 doors, that's fine. In the first 90 days, you're not trying to make money. In the first 90 days, you're trying to prove your model, whether it's a fit for you or not, or if you are fit for that model or not. You'll also try to create some amount of content that you can put on social media, and then you can run ads on that. So learn to run ads, or have someone run ads for you. That's a learnable skill. But I'll only first try to get a product market fit. Is this neighborhood the right neighborhood for me? And don't quit at 20, 200 to 200 doors, right? And by the end of 90 days, you would first of all have if the market was right, a product market fit. You'll also have experience of what works script wise.
For when you're door knocking, when you're doing anything.
Absolutely. So you do that for 90 days, then you know exactly what the script is, what works and what doesn't work, because you've done it every single day for 90 days, and you also know the area that you are. So you have almost like nailed down the formula, right? Now you look at pricing and everything else, right? So you still made money. You're not made a loss on this. You've not made an amazing amount of money, but you still made money. And then you would, I always look at scale, right? So I then look for people like students who I can teach how to run that script. I'll hire people who already have good communication skills, who are students, who I can pay 16, 17, 18, 19, $20 an hour, and I charge 40, 50, $60 per hour, depending on the neighborhood. And I'll try to expand that to more neighborhoods.
Lovely.
And this can be done in 90 days, straight 90 days. Like 90th day, you can have 2 people working for you. You are sharing 50% of your profits, and you have a business that makes $4,000 to $5,000 a month consistently. And then, you can take the next, year to make more plans, raise prices. You can do all sorts of things. But 90 days is not to make money. 90 days to learn the perfect script so that you can scale and, make other people learn that script. And 90 days is used to just get some proof in the market that this works.
Lovely.
And you're not delivering. Okay, that's the other thing, right? You're not delivering on the lawn. You're just collecting cash first, right? For example, paint business, right? It doesn't matter if you are painting the house 7 days from now. You can be painting it 90 days from now. But you're getting a commitment and like 50% revenue or whatever, so that, delivery is separate, right? That also happens in the 90 days.
But you got the contract.
Right? So that's more important. So I think a lot of people don't go in the market. That's the biggest problem, right? They don't go into the market because they fear rejection. But you need to embrace that rejection is part of it. 100 doors that you hit, 2 will say yes. And that's the reality. Don't get discouraged by 98. That's sales.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons from what you just said, not only just for the newbie, for let's say, someone who is already doing it, afraid to hire that 2 people because they think that, okay, they're going to take my business. But if you're someone who's constantly building that database of pipeline, you have leads and you're training these people and you're giving an opportunity. Now you're scaling your business as well. So lovely. Thank you so much on that, Bhai.
No problem.
Because, you're doing a lot of things and now you're building real estate, mortgage, and Grow With Nav, community, events, content. How does your day look like? And you also mentioned something before we started podcast. You're only working 4 days a week. And then with a baby, newborn, 1 year, with him, how do you structure your day?
Actually, it's very different now because I'm fortunate that I've built a business to a level where I can hire really good people and they can be incentivized enough to take on or do all the heavy lifting. And when I say incentivized, they are making mid to high 6 figures, right? So the business is at that level where it allows me to hire more people. So if I have to do events, there's a person who will handle everything. I just need to get in the best guests and maybe, for example, we are doing a 800 people event. So my assistant has done all the heavy lifting on what food, everything, right? We just need to make a decision whether we do it in the Metro Convention Center or we do it at the Stack Market, right? So all that heavy lifting is done by someone else. I just have to make a decision based on the finances and everything, that have already been collected. So right now, my days look like more making decisions or making content.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm able to work 4 days a week, because I'm not actively working on every single file. Obviously, I have an oversight as part of the CRM. I do talk to clients. For instance, this morning I talked to a client who was struggling making a decision whether to buy a home right now or 3 months from now, which is a very common thing right now in this market. So I help in those situations, and I'm accessible to them, but there's a lot of delegation that has happened to really good people in the team. So I think that's something that has helped me scale with the limited time that I have.
But is there anything that you do to keep your, energy levels high even in those 4 days? Or because, business is a lot of things coming your way. Any habits that you built that you kept with you for all these years that helped you to grow?
There's one that I'll talk about. So there are 3 habits that I had built, but I'm not following those 2 right now, but I know I should, right? The first one is meditation. So I used to wake up early and I used to meditate for 30 minutes. This was before Aryan. I'm trying to get back to it, but with a baby, the baby also gets up when you wake up, right? So sometimes the meditation is with my baby in my arms, right? So sometimes it's not possible, right? But I'm trying to get around that. So that's one. It could be workout as well. Like I play squash 4 days a week. So that also helps me, release plus, lose whatever, right? So like I gained 13 kgs after Aryan was born. So I have to lose all that, dad bod that they talk about, right? So I have to lose that, right? So I'm on that journey now. So it could be meditation. It could be those 30 minutes, which are very important. It could be workout. It could be meditation. You have to take out for yourself, right? I feel that self-care is very important. That's one that I'm not doing right now, but I should be doing. Then waking up early, that I'm just doing because my kid wakes up. It's not intentional. I want to wake up at 5. I used to wake up at 4:45, 4:40, right? So
Wow.
I used to wake up just before 5. I had this mind that, if it hits 5, I'm late. So I used to do that before Aryan was born, and that actually helped me build my business at the time when I could not delegate because I did not have enough money. So that actually gave me a 4-hour head start on my clients, on my team, on everyone who, I was supposed to show up for. I had a 4-hour head start there. So that's something. But the one thing that I have continuously done for the last many years, I would say almost over a decade, even before I started business, is I schedule everything in my calendar. Every single thing, dinner dates with my wife, sleep time for Aryan. For example, when I leave here, it's 4:30. I'll just go and I'll reach before his sleep time. So every single thing is planned in my calendar. Every single meeting, every single break, every single vacation, every single date, every single thing is in my calendar. If you look at my calendar, I have a perfect week. And if there are client calls, it's very specific. My assistant knows that, okay, these are the days when I have to schedule that. If there's anything that's not working out, I have to call. Every single thing is in my calendar, color coded to the dot.
Lovely. One last thing. We have a question left by the last guest.
Okay.
We want you to answer that. But also, one question for the next guest.
Okay.
So the last guest left a question. What can be an ideal investment in the current world apart from real estate?
I would say yourself. Like you should be investing in yourself even before real estate, I would say. Because you will not be a very good real estate investor if you had not invested in yourself to identify those deals. So I think above everything else, it has to be investing in yourself, your skills, honing them, communication, like working with different people. So if I were to make Aryan learn a few things, it would be communication. Communicating with, communicate just in general communication.
Yeah.
And then working with different people. Conflict management, right? So if there are 2 or 3 things that I would want, anyone to learn, including my son, when he grows up, These would be the things, right? And for that, you could be taking courses, you could be taking sessions, you could be taking anything, right? A mentor, whatever it takes to get you there, whatever skill you want to build. I think that's very,
So
very
invest
important.
in yourself.
Yes.
What question would you leave for our next guest?
I would leave a question which I always ask, myself, and that's, what if you were 70? Like, whoever the next guest is, if you are 70, what would you tell your 30-year-old self? That these are the things that you are worrying too much about, but you don't have to. Like, what is it that a 70-year-old self will say to a 30-year-old self, that you're just thinking too much about this and you really don't have to?
That's a deep question. I love that. So with that, hope you got some value from it. Personally, I got a lot of value because, I've been waiting for this podcast. Navjot bhai, thank you so much for, so valuable insights on, mindset, family, why, business.
This
You know,
was
it's-
good.
Yeah, it's
Loved it.
It's very, very much needed for any average immigrant to, become a millionaire and to help, a million other people to become millionaire. So definitely for your mission, hopefully one person can become a millionaire by watching this podcast, because this is so much value. If someone would listen to this and just go implement that in their life for next 5 years, I'm damn sure they would become. So with that, I really appreciate for your time, and I'll see you guys on the next one.